Oh, must be Wednesday night. Kevin Peterson's on my computer
What's up?
screen. What's going on?
How you doing, my brother?
Well, just a day in the life, man. Day in the life. I mean,
Yeah.
we live. Sometimes I wonder why we get in this industry. But anyway, Mr. Kevin Petersen, Family Matters. We do this every Wednesday. I've gotten a few remarks from people, emails, and some calls, and they've said keep it up. We're listening. So we're gonna keep doing this every Wednesday. So
That's really kind of them. I really appreciate that.
Kevin, putting the sexy and codependency, I guess, or whatever, like that Kevin. They can never get enough Kevin Petersen. We're gonna do a whole new background. I got to get around to that, but meanwhile, go creep his Instagram, Kevin W. Petersen, all kinds of good stuff. Believe you, I've been creeping on him. Family coaching, chronichope.us. It's all kinds of ways, free resources, ways to reach Kevin. Fun place to creep him, as well. Chronic Hope Facebook page. Like, he's just all over the internet. Like, you know what? You can always find Kevin somewhere on the internet. If you can't reach him by phone, just jump online and he'll tell you some bedtime stories. So Kevin W. Petersen on Instagram. What's going on? What's the theme of Kevin's week?
The theme of Kevin's week is helping families understand that the best way they can help their loved one who's struggling is by taking care of themselves, not by trying to take care of the addict. And there's been some successes and there's been some struggles, where people are like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. But I need to know how to fix him. I'm like, well, that's not how this works. This is everyone that's everyone that I know in sobriety has it. Like you and I have a very similar story. When the family finally said, that's it. I love you and I'm going to respect your choice. And if you're going to choose to live like that, we're done. Yeah, we're absolutely done. And I'm not doing this. But if you want to choose to get help, I will help you. But I am not going to keep trying to convince you or force you. And that's the thing I keep trying to explain to people is that when you get healthy and start setting really clear boundaries, that's when the person's going to respond. When you keep trying to chase them, you're playing into the game. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. But sometimes it's just hard. Sometimes it's just they just want to argue and fight. That and college football starts this weekend.
Does it really?
Yeah, Saturday, baby. USC, San Jose State.
Oh, well, the real games start, I think, the following weekend. But anyway, I will say on the other side, being the addicted one and like going through help, I think it's really fun for us to realize that, once I got sober, the problems didn't go away. And so sometimes like I kind of like want to raise my hand and be like, see, I told you it wasn't just all about me. We still have these family issues. So I think it's fascinating that, like everyone, time, energy, there's brothers and sisters that are getting left behind and their, lack of attention because everything's on Jay. And my two older brothers could tell you, like, for a while there, for several years, it was all about Jay and how can we help Jay? And, and lo and behold, like, thankfully they were grown and kind of out on their own and married, but, like they probably like, hey, you got two other sons, so get help yourself. And on the other side of the fence, as being the addicted one, there's nothing, it's like a horror story. Like if we find out that the mom and dad and everyone's talking differently and acting differently, lo and behold, how do you think I got help? So you're exactly right. So let's get right into it.
Okay, let's do it. What do you got?
Daughter states that she is a drug addict and that we as parents should stop thinking she can be anything other than a disappointment. Is this common? How has she lost her passion for life? So it's basically just daughter saying, look, I'm going to be a drug addict. That's all I am good for. Hear it all the time.
So we were literally just talking about this. The family can just, and I know, I guarantee you the impulse for the parents is we have to fix her. We have to solve this problem. We have to be the ones that change her. And the truth is that it'll never work. You'll never be able to do this from the outside. What you guys got to do is say, hey, we love you. We want to help you. We're happy to offer you. What kind of support do you need? Help finding a therapist? Do you need help finding a psychiatrist? Do you need help finding 12-step groups? We're happy to help you if you're willing to make the effort. If you're not going to make the effort and you're just going to say, screw it, I'm not going to do this. Well, okay, we're also going to respect your wishes. And when you're ready to get help, we will help. Now, here's the caveat. When she says I'm a drug addict, I also want to be clear. If she's putting needles in her arm or doing drugs that could kill her, then I think you guys should consider talking to Jay about what it's like to do an intervention. Because when people are at that point where they're putting their lives at risk on a day-to-day basis, the time for setting boundaries is pretty much come and gone. Now it's time to act, and make a clear statement that we love you, we don't want you to die, and what you're doing is life-threatening. So that's what it really comes down to. And by the way, for that lovely family, they should read my book, Chronic Families in Addiction.
Attaboy.
Because it's all described in there.
Let's jump around. This is much the same. 19-year-old son says he wants to stop using drugs, but that the high is too good to stop. All this despite being in jail and not being able to keep a job, blah, 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 blah. Mom and dad they're saying, like, what's this high? Like, why would he chase this high when all these bad things are happening?
Well, that's the alcoholic and the addict lifestyle. And I'm going to tell you something, Mom and Dad. I don't want you to spend another minute trying to figure it out because you'll never get it. This is the biggest thing that most people that are not alcoholics or not addicts, they're like, I'm trying to understand why. I'm like, stop trying. You'll never get it. You'll never understand. But what you can do is offer him support. Offer him, okay, well, then, you're in jail. So when you get out of jail, let's find a sober living. Don't let him come home. Don't pay for his bills. Offer to say, hey, we're happy to put you in sober living, and if we can afford it, we'll help you afford it. But that's how our support's going to look like. We're not going to give you anything until we, see you actually engaged in your own recovery. That's a strong boundary. And again, this is all part of what in my book, in both my books, is like, you got to set boundaries in 3 categories: no drugs, no alcohol, work or school. You got to get a job. You got to go to school or some combination of both. And you got to treat the family with dignity and respect. And it's super simple and super straightforward. And we lay out how to hold them accountable, and then what to happen when it happens or when it doesn't happen. What do you do? So I'm giving you the plan. And that's really what this is all about, is you guys got to change the way you're behaving in order to get him to change the way he's behaving. That's the simplest way I can put it.
Well, much like the same thing, we're going to, you can pretty much say ditto. Our 23-year-old son was arrested for having drug paraphernalia in his car. Wouldn't be the first time he's been arrested for drugs. They've been doing drug testing. Here's where the caveat is. He's coming up clean. He's been negative, adamant he's innocent, saying it's a buddy's. But according to, it sounds as if, I won't say it's definite, but it sounds as if he's using synthetic drugs, things that are not showing up on these take-home tests. And so let's talk about, these take-home tests, great things, can kind of give alerts. There's a lot of things that will fly under the radar of those take-home tests.
Which is why in the plan that I outline, we're going to take him to a drug testing facility. You just can't beat it. The other side of it too is, for all we know, he's using something to mask and hide and defeat the take-home test. They're just not as good as the tests that you use at a drug treatment center. They're just not. So my position would be, start taking him to there, and then just make it clear that your boundary is going to be, you got to test clean, you got to get a job, and you got to work full time. You got to be self-supporting financially. and you got to treat us with respect and dignity. And the fact that you got busted, that's on you, and you're going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to fight that battle. We're not going to solve that problem for you. We're not going to fix it for you. I don't even want to have the argument with him like, oh, I'm clean. Okay, cool. You're clean. In our house, our rules are no drugs, no alcohol. You got to work full time or go to school full time, and you got to treat us with dignity and respect. Those are your options. You're going to have to fight that out with the cops and the legal system. That's not our problem. And I'm not even going to argue. Okay, I believe you. You're clean. By the way, we're going to continue to have you go to a drug testing facility and be drug tested because that's how it works.
Yeah. Look up YouTube. I mean, I want to say thousands, but I'll just say hundreds of YouTube videos on all different ways that people can go around those take-home tests. It's staggering. I did it one day. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was going to find one or two. There's pages of all different techniques. And I mean, so if you can go to a laboratory, get the full extensive test, even better. But I'm just telling you, those take-home tests, ites.
Yeah.
And the age-old, if you sit around in a barbershop, like, don't complain that you get a haircut. And my sponsor would always say that. Then turns out it wasn't even from him. It was like age-old AA. But if you're hanging out with people with drug paraphernalia, sooner or later, especially if you have a history of drug abuse, you're going to start using that paraphernalia if you haven't already. I'll just say that.
Amen. I mean, come on. How many times we're like, it's not mine. I'm just holding it for a friend. I'm like, sure you are.
But stay. Like, do not think. I mean, we live in, these kids are all on YouTube and Snapchat. I mean, there's all kinds of products. There's all kinds of videos. There's all kinds of, don't think. I'm shocked that the parents would be like, you know what, he would cheat on that test? Like, oh, well. Last one I think we have. How many meetings a week do you suggest for someone that is in their first couple of months sobriety? Are there meetings where my son and, this is the mom writing, can go together?
Great question. So the thing is, when somebody's new, I definitely recommend going as often as possible as your schedule allows. Now, when I say schedule, I don't mean his sleep schedule or his Netflix schedule or his gaming schedule. But the other side of that too is that if you set the boundaries like we're talking about, like, hey, no drugs, no alcohol, you got to work and go to school, you got to have, behavior within the structure of the family, which means you have to take care of yourself. We're going to put the ball in his court. We're not going to be the sobriety monitor people. That's not our job. By the way, no, you're not going to go to the meeting with him. That's not appropriate. I want him going by himself, engaging in his own, finding his peers, finding a sponsor. Let me be clear. You go to meetings, you get a sponsor, you work the steps. That's how you stay sober. It's worked for me for 32 years. That's the answer. That's the end of the question. That's it. You don't go with him. You don't monitor it. That's not appropriate. He may ask you to come once he gets like a milestone, 6 months or a year, and help celebrate with him. But that's not it. Now for you, Mom, what I highly recommend is taking a look at Al-Anon or Codependence Anonymous. I think those things might actually be what you're looking for your support. And I also, of course, think you should read my books. Because those are all about how to help someone who's struggling and how to take care of yourself and how to change the family dynamic. And I'm fully aware that that's not the answer you want to hear. Trust me, I'm doing this long enough with enough people where I fully know you're like, yeah, no, I don't want that. I no, that doesn't work for me. And my answer to that is, how's your way working? And let's be honest, it's not. So let's do it my way, and let's try it my way and see where it takes us. And who knows? We might actually get some change. But you cannot be the monitor. You cannot be the manager. I always tell parents that you are now officially out of the addict management business, and that's the good news. And we're going to allow him to learn how to take care of himself and solve his problems and address his issues. And by the way, you're going to do the same thing.
Yeah. It's funny, typing this question onto our little platform. I remember asking my sponsor, it was with my grand sponsor, old Jerry Jones, who we lost way too soon, but circuit speaker here in Texas. Anyway, just an amazing, just Texas lawyer, just real simple to the point. Anyway, I asked him, and my sponsor didn't even answer. And old Jerry would say, like, if you have to ask that question, you're going to the wrong meetings. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And so I started going to these meetings, and I found myself going to the meetings, doing some 12-step calls, going to play volleyball or something like that, helping this, help someone move, like lo and behold, like it was about 6 months later, I'm looking back and I got, H&I that I'm taking to the detox. I'm helping someone move. I'm going to these men's meetings, and it's like, this is what he was talking about. Like, if I never asked that question ever again, because if you get into a group, if you find your troops, and lo and behold, like, you're going to go to dinner with them, you're going to help out, you're going to do H&Is, you're going to go to, I mean, I never asked that question again. I still don't ever ask that question, because if you get in the middle of a group you love and meetings you love, you'll never have to worry about it, because you'll want to show up.
Yep. So. Absolutely. I had the exact same experience in LA. I walked into my first meeting. It was a men's meeting. There was 100 guys there. It was Monday night at 8:00, and it was like going to a fraternity party. They were just rocking and rolling and going crazy, and they're all talking about they all played basketball together, they played softball together, they went to dinner together, they went to the movies together. If somebody had to move, everybody showed up to help them move, and I just like plugged into a lodge, and it was great. And all of a sudden, I had a world of people that were also kind, loving, and supportive, and understood exactly what I was going through, And so that's the most important thing, Now, the interesting thing, because I'm always going to push to the family, the interesting thing is that's available for the family as well. And that's the hard part, though, is the family struggles with it because they don't feel like they need it, or they don't want it, or they're ashamed, or they're uncomfortable. And I understand all those things. But I just want you to understand that support is available for you as well. But you have to be able to, you have to take that first step as well.
Yeah. When I started going to the meetings, they started doing something really rude. I thought it was rude. They were laughing and enjoying life. I just thought that was like completely out of hand for a miserable person like me. Like, I hated life. Why don't you hate life? Anyway.
Nah. Absolutely. You got it, man. And then I got jealous. I'm like, what the hell? These guys are having fun. I'm miserable. What am I doing wrong? And they're like, well, why don't you come find out?
And you're right. I mean, there's so much available for family members and parents and Al-Anons and loved ones and spouses and kids. And I mean, you are not unique. Someone told me that a long time ago, and you are not alone, and you're not unique. And that's true for anyone going through this. Like, there's someone out there doing the exact same thing and experiencing. This is why we do this every Wednesday, to let people know you're not alone. Keep the questions coming. If you're watching a replay, type it in the comments. Keep sending me emails, keep reaching out. Say how much you love the podcast. I love hearing it. I love passing it on to Kevin. But
send me an email. I want a message.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, keep sending to me. I'll be honest with you. I like it. But anyway, we'll do this every Wednesday. But Kevin, keep helping the families. Keep letting them know they're not unique and they're not alone. And one of these days, we're going to have a bunch of comments and a bunch of live comments, but I take it personally, but
I dream of it. Maybe we should switch platforms. Maybe we need to be on Instagram or something.
You never know. Let's talk about it. But anyway, we'll do this every Wednesday night. See ya.
All right, brother.